everybody, welcome to the next edition of Decants with D. I am Dietmar Ostermann. I'm your host this afternoon, and I'm the regular guy from Long Island. Today we're going deep south, to South America, precisely to Chile. Chile is huge, it's long, over like 1,000 miles long. People say if you put the south tip of Chile into Nebraska, the north tip reaches the North Pole. So you can imagine that a country that long and pretty narrow has many different wine regions that really produce very remarkably different wine. If you think about it, you also, because of the width of the country only being less than 100 miles in most places, you have vineyards that are right on the coast, because most of the 1,000 miles is all coast on the western side. Then there's a little bit of vineyards in the middle that have more the regular valley character. And then you have the Andes, the big mountain range, as big as the Rocky Mountains, that are separating Chile from Argentina. And so you have vineyards planted against the hillside there. So these three different type of areas with a different terroir. And then the enormous lengths that get you from hot climate in the north to ice cold in the south make it an exploration in and of itself. I am introducing to you today Chilean Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon is the largest planted grape in Chile. About 1/3 of all the wine planted in Chile is Cabernet Sauvignon grape. Why is this of interest to you? Well, if you like a bold, fruit-forward Napa Valley Cabernet, then you will also like a bold, fruit-forward, high tannins, high acidity Chilean Cabernet. The only difference is one comes for 1/3 of the price than the other. Most of the good Chilean Cabernet Sauvignons you can acquire in price ranges from $15 to $25, ladies and gentlemen. The Chilean Cabernet grape typically, I just spoke about the massive variety, but typically is full body, high acidity, strong red and black fruits like blackberry, cassis, forward in your nose, in your face when you drink it. They're typically aged in oak 1 to 2 years. They use mostly American oak. So you do find an oak spice in the wines, a vanilla spice in the wines, and a little bit of tobacco usually. I selected 2 wines out of the Maipo Valley. That is probably out of the 17 wine regions in Chile, the one that is most popular, most famous. It's closest to Santiago. And even though now Santiago gets a little bit polluted, the other regions are far away from any industry, therefore much more organic and natural. However, Maipo Valley is particularly famous and popular in Chile, so I need to discuss it here. The other most popular regions out of the 15 Maule to the south of Santiago, Aconcagua, that is north of Santiago, as well as Cachapoal and Calchagua, more in the coastal area. So those are probably 5 of the most popular Chilean regions that you will see most often imported into places like the United States. We are diving into the first wine. This is a Porta single vineyard Grand Reserva. This wine, ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelt, sells for under $15. So I particularly here will be tasting the 2015. Okay, here we go. Crystal. Beautiful Riedel Austrian crystal for this wine tasting. Let's look at the color. I like the bottle. The bottle is sturdy yet elegant with a little bit of dark gold on the top. and mostly black. The wine is not see-through and a beautiful thick color as you would expect from a Cabernet Sauvignon. Slight lines, I would have expected bigger lines, so the alcohol content may be not quite as high in this wine. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. I can clearly detect the blackberry, but also almost like forest floor, deep woods, dust. Interesting. Let's give it a whirl. Interesting. There's quite a little bit of a refreshing spice to it on the palate. I like it a lot. I would say it's surprising how fresh this wine is. Typically a beautiful long finish, very impressive long finish. Impressive performance, ladies and gentlemen. I give this wine a 4.1 on Vivino. Average Vivino rating is 3.3. So what you see here is what I criticize often. And that is, in Vivino, obviously you have a popular vote, right? There's everybody and his brother voting on these wines and how they rate them. And this wine may have very well 5,000 reviews. I haven't checked it. And people tend to rate a wine lower if it is less expensive. People, on the other hand, tend to rate a wine higher if it's more expensive. Very few people can stay completely objective and say, okay, I just paid $120 for this bottle and it sucks, excuse my language, I give it a 3. You see that very rarely. Similarly, people are shy of saying, okay, this wine, I paid for the bottle $14 actually, not even 15. How can I give this a score so high? I do, I like it. 4.1 is my score. Okay, second contestant. The contrast couldn't be any bigger because what we have here is the Cabo de Hornos. The Cabo de Hornos is one of the fine wines in Chile. Now, as influence from French winemakers became more present in Chile over the last 10 or 15 years, Robert Mondavi came in and founded a joint venture. Baron Philippe de Rothschild and their descendants came in and founded a joint venture. French winemakers are helping the otherwise beautiful and hot climate to grow fantastic wines. So this one actually retails for $60, but it's also rated in Vivino at 4.6, and I think it had a 95 or so, or 94 score on Wine Spectator. So I'm very interested to see in comparison how I will like this wine. So, big, fat, heavy bottle, 2015. The winemaker or the vineyard is called San Pedro. The wine itself is called the Cabo. I'm taking just a little bit of this expensive juice to pour out the glass so I don't have the taste of the previous wine in my glass. And here we go. Color, beautiful. I like the color better than the Porta. It's darker. It's like the color from the best of the best Napa Valley Cabernets. Okay, here we go. Sniffy sniff. Aromas of clearly a lot of oak, maybe some chocolate. I detect plum, maybe a little bit of mild blackberry. Interesting. Let's give it a whirl. Ladies and gentlemen, I had this wine twice before. I rated it once very high, I rated it once very low. I'm getting to rating it very high again. This one has such a structure in it when you have it on the palate. It's just juicy. Good, baby. Full of plum, blackberry, maybe a lot of raspberry in there as well, cassis. It's multifaceted in the fruit that I'm detecting. Chocolate in the aftertaste, a long finish. Very well done, very well done. So I hate to do it, but I have to rate this wine 4.5. It is again a very positive surprise, and last time I rated it 3.5, before that 4.5, so I'm coming back to my original rating. Maybe there was something wrong with the bottle that I had in between. Cabo is a very strong wine, and obviously for $60 it's more expensive, but it's right in there where the majority of the Napa Valley Cabernets are sitting, and this is a top-notch, juicy, good tasting wine. Okay, fourth contender, we are driving the price a little bit down. This is a $23 wine, the Antu. The Antu is from the Montgras winery, a very famous winery in Chile. Let's open this baby up. This is the oldest of the wines that we are tasting. This is a 2013 Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile, 10 to 20 years, probably more on the 10-year side, Antu. Okay, let's clean out the glass with the new wine just a little bit. Here we go. The Antu. Okay, I don't like the color as much as both of the previous ones. This has a little bit more of the brownish color. You would find that more in a Barolo or in a Brunello with the Nebbiolo grape or with the Sangiovese grape. Not sure why that is. You have some lines in here. Alcohol content is probably rather high. I would estimate maybe 14.5%. Bingo, 14.5%. Let's give it 8. Sniffy sniff. Clearly oak, lots of oak. But there's some other spice, different spice. What is it? Vanilla. Let's put it on the palate and see what the world says. A little bit of a bite. It almost has an amplitude in it. Starts mellow, goes high up, goes mellow back down. Medium finish. On the palate, I detect some raspberry maybe. Overall, a good wine. I'm not as high on the Antu as I'm on the two previous ones. Still a good wine. I give the Antu a 3.8. So 4.5 for the Cabo, but it's also the most expensive. 4.1 for the Porta. It's the least expensive. And I give it 3.8 for the Antu. Still a passable wine, but given the choices, one a lot more expensive and a lot better, and the other one, less expensive and better, I will have to recommend the Porta. It's a good everyday wine in everybody's wine cellar for every budget. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked the introduction of Chilean wine. Once again, the facets of these 17 regions in these different climate zones are very, very different. So take it with a grain of salt, what I showed you here today. We mostly experience wine from the Maipo Valley around Santiago. And I will be back next Sunday. Like it, subscribe it, and cheers until then.